Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pork and Reviews. Once again, my name is Pork. I'm your host for today. I'm actually coming here to talk to you guys about Army of the Dead. Just got back from the movie theater probably about 15 minutes ago from seeing this movie. My goal here is I want to talk about whether it's worth it to watch this movie in theaters or whether you should just wait and stream it at home. A few things I would like to discuss in this kind of review, and I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. I want to talk about the picture, video, like kind of the cinematography. I also want to talk about the sound, whether or not the movie's actually entertaining, and then kind of give you my idea whether or not movie is worth taking the time out to go to the movies or whether just watching it at home on Netflix. So for those of you who don't know, been living under a rock, this Army of the Dead is going to be opening on Netflix May 21st, I want to say. And it was given they only announced it like a couple weeks ago where they were doing a 1 week theatrical run in about 600 theaters across the country. We saw it at the Cinemark in our area. So, movies kind of just a zombie heist movie. I know it sounds a little weird, but no real big spoilers here. It's kind of been just all over. The zombies have been kind of walled up in Vegas. They There's a casino owner that has hundreds of millions of dollars left in the vault. The Las Vegas is about to get nuked by the U.S. government. Before they do that nuking, this rich guy wants to go and send a team in there to get that money so he can recoup his money, right? That's what rich people do. Uh, so, cast led by David Bautista, playing Scott Ward. Really colorful cast here. So a couple things I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and start with the picture. One thing I want to note is the movie was shot. Looks like we're presented at least in a 1.78 to 1 ratio. A little disappointed by that because that's your standard 16:9. That's the aspect ratio that you get at home on your TV. I think the movie could have just benefited from a slightly wider format in the theater. Maybe the 1.85 to 1 ratio, just giving it just a little more width. That being said, Snyder does a really good job of utilizing the frame in his movie, and so there's not a lot of like wasted space. It's utilized very well. Just I wish the video was a little bit wider. Even in the auditorium that we were in, there were some real slight black bars on the side because theater screen usually defaults at 1.85 to 1. It's not a deal breaker. Just if you're like a film nerd like me, you're gonna notice things like that. Obviously, the color palette used in this movie is very deliberate, very intentional because it is Zack Snyder. Still, he has to use his slow mo. He has to, he has to fill the entire frame with a whole bunch of little Easter eggs and references. This movie will be really good to watch, maybe 2 or 3 times, just to go through it shot by shot. But the movie is very cinematic. I don't want that to dissuade anybody from what I'm talking about here. Just when I'm talking about this movie, just it's very cinematic. It's a very big movie, so it's definitely made for the theaters. I wish they just went with a wider screen format. Understand that this movie is going to be primarily being streamed, so it's made so that it fills your entire screen on your TV at home. So I understand that why they made that choice. Just if you're gonna put it in theaters, you're kind of gonna want just that little bit wider format. That's just my personal opinion on that. Sound wise, the theater I was at was just a regular, just a regular like surround sound type of theater. Um, this is where I was a little let down by the theater experience. To be fair, this has nothing to do with the movie itself. This is going to be really dependent on the movie theater that you go to. There was no like kind of Dolby Cinema option at the theater that I went to. I don't believe there was. There is one period. I'm not sure if Cinemark has that or not. So the sound, the bass wasn't very punchy. The explosions and the gunshots. I didn't necessarily really feel it the way I would want to. Here in my house, I do have an Atmos setup. Reference quality sound, and when the bass hits, it hits. It shakes the whole house. Um, if that's a factor for you, it's something that you might want to consider, especially if you've made some investments in your home theater. Um, so I don't know if that's going to necessarily be a make or break it point for anybody. Just I do wish the sound was a little bit more robust. I wish it was kind of a little louder. But this is everything to do with the movie theater. I'm not, clearly the movie's not on streaming yet, so there's nothing for me to directly compare it to. But I would imagine that more than likely the movie is going to have Dolby Vision and an Atmos track as well once it releases on Netflix. Most of their big kind of tentpole movies have those features. So the theater that I was in didn't have any of that clearly. So, it's one of those things where if you're looking for those particular features, they are going to be lacking in the cinema situation. Um, so now I guess the most important thing here and the entertainment factor is the movie entertaining. I mean, it's fun. It's supposed to be loud. Well, I wish it was louder, but it's loud. It's bombastic. It's a movie that absolutely was written and intended to be shown, probably in its inception, or excuse me, in its conception, to be in theaters. So it's yes. I mean, you get 2.5 hours of, you know, kind of fun. And the one thing I do appreciate about Snyder is he does take the time to fully develop his characters, and that's something that I noticed really well with this movie. Um, it didn't necessarily leave me wanting a whole lot or felt like I was missing something. There was a couple minor characters I wish I got a little more backstory on, but we may be getting that because, from my understanding, they've already shot the prequel to this movie. It's part of this zombie universe that Netflix wants to create. So we're more than likely gonna get that story. I mean, it's just with Snyder movies, you kind of just gotta let him tell the whole thing, and they all kind of make sense, right? Um, but I thought it was I thought it was really well made. I thought it was really well written. The acting was the movie was perfectly casted. Everybody everybody in this movie, every actor in this movie was great for the role that they had. I do appreciate that Snyder, makes use of that kind of long runtime at 2.5 hours. I kind of like that he makes use of that by not just giving us like awesome visuals and special effects and big set pieces. We do get those, but the movie also has a little bit more heart, a little bit more um, emotion than you would expect from these type of movies, and I appreciate that a lot because I feel like you take a movie like Mortal Kombat that just came out recently, and the movie blazes through in its hour and 40 minute runtime, and you don't really get to know any of these characters, and it's kind of refreshing where a movie is able to take its time, a director is able to take his time and flesh these individuals out. I'm really excited for this zombie verse that Netflix is going to be making. Much more excited now that I've seen this movie. I've kind of been burned out on zombies for a very long time now, So, this movie in classic Snyder way is kind of like the anti-zombie movie. I mean, all of those typical tropes that we're used to, um, we get some of them, or we get some modifications on them. They're not just cut and paste, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. Not just cut and paste from every other zombie movie to this one. Um, it's really well written. So now I know I talked a lot about the visuals and the sound. Do I recommend watching this in the movie theater, or do I recommend streaming it? I guess it all depends on what your situation is at home, right? The truth is, if you've invested a lot of money and time into your home theater, this movie was made to be streamed. You are going to get a movie, an experience at home that this was tailor made for. Like I said, more than likely we'll see in a week, but more than likely you're gonna get that Dolby Vision, you're gonna get that Atmos sound. You know, you're gonna get this big nice picture. If you have this big TV, it's gonna fill the entire screen. It's gonna look great. If you don't have that, and you have a smaller TV, and maybe a sound bar, that theater experience is gonna be a game changer for this movie. Um, as me, I love the theater experience. I like the idea of going out to the movies and you know sitting in the dark with popcorn, pop, the whole nine. I love that experience. But you know, if you like I said, if you have a robust system at home, you're probably gonna enjoy it a little bit more at home. But if you don't have that, and more than likely a majority of people don't, this is a great experience to go to the movies to see. It's a great experience. I had a great time at the theater. It's actually been a while since I went to the movie theater to see a movie, so this was very refreshing. It was a very refreshing take on the zombie genre. Um, if I had to give it like kind of a out of 4-star rating, I'd probably give it like a 3. Um, I'm anxious to see where this zombie verse goes. So, we'll see. But that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a good night. If you like this video, please subscribe, like it. Um, just enjoy this movie if you're gonna go watch it. All right. You guys have a good one, and God bless.